Okay, well, that's a little bit silly. You have to acknowledge that, right?
No.
So,
Oh shit. She's mad. She's tight right now. When he said that's a little bit silly. That is a little bit silly though. To just ban divorce. Like, come on, man.
I guess let's just jump right into it. I want to I don't know how many of my audience, I'm sure a lot do, but I kind of want to just introduce you. You've become really successful the past year or two. You're friends with Fresh and Fit, right? Those guys are your dogs, so to
Mhm.
speak. And you kind of
Is that true? I don't think I've ever. I don't. I don't do all the research. I don't think I've ever seen like an interaction between those two entities per se. I know they. She talks about them. I've never heard them say anything about her.
are sympathetic to their kind of views. But you've made
Mhm.
a name for yourself just on TikTok and on YouTube. So
Mhm.
let me just ask you generally, like, what kind of messages are you sharing on your platform? What kind of important messages is it that you find yourself are about?
I believe in family, so I think that we should have policies that push.
Let me move myself real quick. I don't want to block your boy Ethan over here.
Family. I think that feminism overall was a bad thing. I think women are happier when we have, a family and kids over a career in the long run.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
It's
I'm a
okay.
little,
Yeah, I
little
understand.
nervous.
So it's more like, yeah, traditional. You want people to kind of follow a more traditional path in terms of
Hmm.
family and gender and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, and you just see the negative, like outcomes
I didn't hear her say nothing about gender in that.
society have when like families fall apart, right? And it's especially hard on the children. Like you see, more you're more the kids are more likely to go to prison. They're more likely to drop out of school. They're more likely to be in mental health institutions. So you just see like all of the problems that come with single mother homes. So I just think it's important that we push policies that push family.
So how do you push a policy that promotes family? Like, in what way can you force a family to stay together or encourage it in a sense?
Now, I just want to note she hasn't said anything crazy at this moment, right? Like, I think what she's saying is pretty much like the conservative go-to playbook, right? Families, marriage, the home, and good point, I would say. I think most people would agree with what she said so far, but when you run into people that are like in the red pill community that are actually like have a large following, part of the problem is that they they hit like something that's like, okay, we like that, and then they just
Well, I think you first have to get rid of incentives that incentivize like women to leave families. So, like, for example, child support, alimony, I'm not really a fan of those.
Child support. So
Mm.
if there's a divorce, let's
Oh,
say that
actually, I think we should ban divorce too. Yeah, I think that should be banned.
all right, see. Oh, it didn't take long. It did not take long for her to go from okay, making a valid point to what the fuck are you talking about, Pearl? How you gonna I gotta hear this. I gotta hear this.
Yes.
okay, well, that's a little bit silly. You have to acknowledge that, right?
No.
So
Oh shit. She's mad. She's tight right now. When he said that's a little bit silly. That is a little bit silly though. To just ban divorce. Like, come on, man. And full disclosure, I think most people fall like in the middle, right? So you might lean a little bit left or a little bit right, but you're mostly in the middle. Uh what the fuck is she talking about? You cannot just ban divorce completely. Like that's probably
so
God
banning
damn it.
divorce means that when you decide to get married, you are not allowed by the government to leave your significant other in any situation.
Hmm. Yeah. I just think that if you want to leave, you just shouldn't get married.
Most people don't want to leave before they get married. Like I don't think, and I could be wrong, but I don't think most people that get married plan on getting divorced, right? I think you probably like found somebody that you think, at least you think you love, right? You may jump into it a little bit too soon, but you're not like, oh, can't wait to divorce this motherfucker and take all his shit or her shit, right? That happens very, very minutely. Like that's a small portion of people getting married. Most divorces happen for a reason. It may not be a reason that we agree with, but it's a reason, and it's not like a predetermined reason before you get married. That's a dumbass take, Pearl.
So that's just my opinion.
Right, but like in the real world, that kind of
And
simplistic.
you know, there's like exceptions to this, but I would just say in general, for most cases, you know, we could talk
Okay, dial it back. That sounds better. What are the exceptions, though?
about exceptions, but like the rule.
Well, the
divorce-
exceptions are the important part, because I've heard you say that a lot when you're talking about things. You say, "Oh, you want to talk about exceptions," but the exceptions is the important part, because those are the people that are going to be affected. I mean, exceptions are going to be a large part of divorces, as you say. I mean, you're talking about like, 25% maybe or more, because if you're saying you're not allowed to get divorced,
I have to double check that stat, but if it's 25%, I personally would not consider that an exception, right? I'd say that's a nice chunk. That's 25. That's a quarter of it. So that's 1/4 of divorces. Like I wouldn't say that's an exception. An exception to me is like, you know, minute, small, 5% or less, maybe 10 at max.
so we're talking about like, what if the relationship is physically abusive?
Mhm. Yeah, I think if it's physically, see, this is the problem though. All right, if it's one-sided physically abusive, okay, fine, divorce. We can allow divorce for those exceptions, but
Okay.
like I've even talked to people that work at
What
like
the fuck?
abuse centers, and they say that the majority of abuse is mutual. So it's not just one side's hitting the other; it's like mutual. So
Surely
I
that's
just
not
think the
every
goal, I
time,
think, yeah, I know. I
but
didn't
it's
say it
not
was every.
healthier either.
Mhm.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. I don't even like this guy either, right? Like he says some shit that I definitely don't agree with. Pearl says some shit that I definitely don't agree with. But he's cooking her right now. She's making it so easy. Like, who cares if it's one-sided or not? Abuse is abuse. An abusive relationship should not have to go on. Whether they're both hitting each other or if one person's hitting the other. Abuse should be like, all right, we're definitely not meant to be together. Let's get the fuck out of here. Like, come on, man.
I just think that the goal should be to keep families together, and that the goal should be to work through it.
Mm.
I think most people agree with that, right?
Yeah.
Because I think we all can look at the stats
good
and say
goal.
family
Mhm.
is important, right? Family is important. Nuclear families is important to like the health of children growing up in general. I think we can all say that. But when you say something like divorce should be illegal,
Yeah.
we got to kind of suss that out, because that's a pretty extreme claim. For example, in 2014, family
Mhm.
violence was the cause of 25% of divorces. So I don't think it's fair to characterize that as some kind of like super fringe
Yeah, see, that's way too big of a percentage to call an exception, man. A quarter of divorces is domestic abuse.
example of why people get divorced.
Well, but you also have to look if there's incentive structures in place where there's a lot of false accusations in family court. And a lot of people don't know this, that family court is actually based off, it's not based off of evidence, it's based off a balance of probabilities. And there are incentive programs that you get, like in the UK, you get a free lawyer if you accuse your husband of abuse. And it's less than 10% of cases are actually like followed through with the police.
Sorry,
Mm,
I don't want to move on.
okay. That's a good rebuttal. She's saying, okay, you're kind of incentivized to initiate a divorce. So you might say, oh, well, abuse. But really, only like less than 10% of the cases that are actually brought up, right? So if 25% of marriages report domestic violence, and only 10% of that 25%, which is what I'm gathering from what she's saying, actually are brought to like court and like fought out. Well, now we were getting somewhere.
Quite yeah. I want to stick on the topic of not allowing people to divorce. So you're saying that you do want to allow people to divorce. Then you don't really believe that.
No, I
'Cause-
would say ban divorce.
Oh, because
God damn it, Pearl. See, this is what I'm talking about. You try to stick to the grift. Like you had a good point there. Yes, there's an exception to the rule, and for those exceptions, we make exceptions. But overall, make it much harder to get divorced. Like that sounds good. That's a good argument. But just say nope, ban it. That's so fucking.
you just said
Mhm.
you would allow an exception in the case of abuse.
I said one-sided abuse exception. Sure.
Okay,
That's
so how do you
dumb.
prove the one? So then you don't believe in forced divorce, or I mean, and you
Okay,
ban
fine,
divorce.
fine.
Yeah.
Ban divorce except for one-sided abuse.
Okay,
Sure.
except for one-sided abuse. And is there going to be a system to kind of how do you prove that the woman or man
Well,
was on the
I think
yeah? How
I
do
think you
prove
have
that?
to press charges in criminal court, not family court.
So
Okay.
only if your significant other is tried criminally are you allowed to leave the relationship. Tried
Yes.
and found guilty criminally.
Yes. Otherwise, just stick out of, which is fine if you don't, want to be with someone forever. But I just say stay out of marriage,
Right, but-
because when you take marriage is supposed to be, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, and for richer or for poorer. It's not supposed to be, when I feel like leaving. And the majority of divorces nowadays, it's just, when the girl just feels like leaving.
That's not true.
So and well,
All right, Ethan. Now, that actually, based on reports, irreconcilable differences, most of the divorces, and 70% of those are initiated by women. So she's got a point there. I would say that's mostly true. Now, what the reason they feel like leaving is up in the air. Is he abusive? Is he cheating? Is he boring? Is he lackluster as far as like financial ambition? All of these could be reasons that to file for irreconcilable differences. But she is true on the numbers that it is mostly that.
It's just not true.
I've talked to hundreds of women.
That's
on my
not.
show.
That's just
So,
that doesn't prove anything.
And even if you look at when no fault divorce was initiated in the 80 and 1970, I think it was initiated. I mean, one of the number one reasons was financial differences and irreconcilable.
And irreconcilable.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't talk.
I fucked that up too.
So
But yeah, I just think like, for the people that don't believe in real marriage, because what is marriage if you can get divorced over damn near anything? It's not marriage anymore. It's something else.
Well, I think the reason for that, historically, this emphasis on staying married, right? Or even before this no-fault divorce was an option, and it was more difficult for women to get divorced, or men, the abuse of power and the risk for abuse and for people to get stuck in a horrible relationship situation, not just for them, but their kids, right? I mean, obviously, having your kids watch their mother get beat up. And oftentimes it's going to bleed.
Or the kids get watching their father get beat up. Like it goes both ways.
Either or.
And I acknowledge that. It goes both ways. So both people have a right.
But let's be realistic. If you don't see too many dudes getting beat up. They might get abused, but beat up is a very specific term. Like that means like one is dominating the other. And if that's the case, you're pretty much allowing it to happen as a man.
To, in my opinion, get divorced because the alternative is one of the partners being stuck and like
do you think that's
potentially
the
a lethal
situation? Do you think that's the majority of cases?
A majority of cases of what? Divorce?
Of divorce.
25%. 25%.
What?
It's 25% based on statistics.
No, that's not what's in criminal court. It's like less than 10%. It actually followed through in criminal court.
Well,
So
regardless, 10%'s enough, don't you think?
No, I said less than 10% of the abuse cases of the 25%. So that's like Tell me
Journal
what
of
that would
Family Violence in 2014 found that approximately 25% of divorces in the United States involve domestic violence.
Right, but again, that's because the woman says that she was, because their
Okay,
incentive
but you're just
program.
saying stuff. You're just saying stuff. You don't actually know that to be true.
No, I do.
How?
I do. Like, okay, in the UK, there's a law that you get a free lawyer if you
How
get a
does
free
that?
lawyer
Sorry, but how
if
does
you
that prove that
accuse.
women are lying about violence? Because they
No,
get
because I'm saying that you can't. Okay, you can't prove it unless they go to criminal court, because criminal court is based off of.
See, she's making a good point here. He's trying to dunk on her a little bit, but she's saying instead of allowing uh abuse to be like, used for a divorce as far as family court, it should be you should actually have to like accuse them of abuse in criminal court and make a case there before it's allowed, which I kind of tend to agree, just for the simple fact that if it's just down to a he said she said in family court, well, number one, we all know that family court like favors the woman, the mother, right? Because she's the more vulnerable of the two. And not only that, if it did not happen, there's no way for the guy to repair his reputation. Like if I get accused of abuse and my kids get taken away from me and I get a divorce, now I'm labeled as an abuser, whether I actually did it or not. And we didn't go to criminal court, but the court of public opinion don't give a fuck about that.
Of evidence, where family court is based off of a balance of probability. So it means it's more likely that they did it than didn't do it. It's not innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, see.
right, but they're not going to jail. It's just to let the abused.
I mean, you could call
partner.
it jail when you have a lifetime of not seeing your children, when the
You
whole
could, but
like
it's not.
community.
And arguably, if you're an abuser, like actually an abuser, you should fucking go to jail. I mean, like her point is a good point for multiple reasons, because one, it makes sure that the party actually was abusing someone. And if they did, that person should go to jail. They shouldn't just be like, oh, well, you guys separate, but you're off scot-free. Like, you beat the shit out of your wife, but you don't have to serve no time for it. No, he should get locked up if he was abusing her.
I mean, you could. I mean, have you spoken to these men? It's like literally their whole community thinks they're an abuser. Now they get to see their kids maybe 3 days a month if they're lucky. A lot of them
Sure,
are put on.
sure,
A lot of
of
them are
course.
put on.
Yeah,
Right.
there's bad outcomes for sure, but
Horrible.
on the
I mean,
whole,
a lot of men zero themselves out during this.
they what?
Like a lot of men commit suicide
Oh, I
during.
see.
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible. You know.
It's horrible. It's like absolutely terrible. Like I interview these men that are going through this.
Yeah, I'm sure
'Cause
that's happened, but at the same time, you're saying women are lying about violence, and I haven't seen you be able to
okay.
prove
I'm
that.
saying that you can't prove it unless you go to criminal court, because family
but it's
court
not
is
a
not based
crime.
off of evidence.
Right, but
Abuse is a crime. See, this is where he's fucking up. And like, abuse is assault, right? If I slap the shit out you, that's not only abuse, that's assault. That is a crime, Ethan.
they're not going to jail. It's just about the welfare of the kids, and I mean, the people
It's
involved.
a crime if you're falsely accusing someone of abuse. And so I'm saying there's no, you can't. They only prove it in less than 10% of cases.
Okay,
In criminal court, because criminal court is based off of evidence. Family court is not.
so let's just say less than 10%. I'll just give you the benefit of the doubt on that. Still seems like enough to give people the option to leave. And this idea that women just leave whenever they want seems a little bit infantile, because people change, right? Especially when people get married young, which does happen. People change. People go through shit. People grow apart. A lot of the men who end up being abusive, you hear, were one way before they got married and one way after you get married. So I don't think it's fair to say you're just leaving whenever you want, or you should just have to stay in this forever. Wouldn't you prefer people get married than never get married? Like, I feel like you would be disturbed if, like, only 5% of couples ever got married.
He's making a fair point right there. I would say, if I was in this debate, I would say I agree with his statement that you should maybe make it a little bit harder to get married, so that you do know the person that you're getting married. You're not just with them for 3 months and then boom, we're getting married. Maybe make it a little more difficult to actually get married as well. And a little more difficult to get divorced. Not saying ban it, but you know, just a little bit more difficult, that where it incentivizes sticking it out if you just have, you know, petty shit, like petty differences, petty reasons to break up a family, like an actual family.
I'd rather people got married and stayed married.
Right, but that wasn't one of the options.
I actually don't see a point in getting married with the way that marriage is today, to be honest. Yeah, because again, like, what is it? The average marriage is like 8 years. So the average marriage is 8 years and you're done. That's not marriage.
Leaving a marriage due to domestic violence and not pursuing criminal charges. If so, let's say that a woman's in a marriage and they have no fault marriage divorce. So let's say she doesn't want to charge her husband. She just wants to leave amicably. Okay.
Now, to me, and this is just me, that sounds crazy. I know I'm not a victim, so I can't put myself into that mind frame 100%. But how could you not? You know what I'm saying? You want that person to just be able to walk around free after they was beating your ass? That's crazy to me.
But in your situation, she's forced to charge him legally, to have a police investigation, charge him for domestic violence. Wouldn't that be more damaging to his reputation?
Not if he wins.
The case, because again, it's based off of evidence. But I mean, I think that why would you want an abusive guy walking free?
Thank you. Finally, she finally said the thing that I was thinking. Like, why do we want motherfuckers that's out here beating women to just be out here free?
Actually, abusive, you should go to jail.
Thank you.
Right.
Shouldn't we?
Look. Look, see, that's what it is. Like, you gotta think about that now. Like, yeah, we shouldn't just let them walk free.
On that.
Right, but it's just not that simple, again, because, like, it's just not that simple, abuse cases, because, you know, and it's not that simple to
Because what?
convict people.
I just don't think that men should be punished without evidence. And I think in family court, it's not based off of evidence. It's based on a balance of probabilities. And so you have a case where men only, like, they're stuck seeing their kid like 3 days a month, when again, it's not based off of evidence. Like, you know, I've interviewed guys where literally the wife, and I've seen the court documents. It's coming out in my documentary that's coming out in the fall.
Oh my gosh, shameless plug. Here we go.
The wife was plotting to try to get the guy to hit her.
Right, I'm sure that happens, but you know
the wife still got custody.
Right, but that's not a representative case. Again, I mean, for example, you ask why a mom.
I mean, that could be 50% of the 25%, though. How do we know? You know, and I know that a lot of people could speak to just like when you're in like a toxic relationship or something that's like, you know, maybe not healthy. You argue a lot. Women can be they can push some buttons. I'm not saying that it's ever right to swing off or, you know, or go the extra mile, but I do know for a fact that women can like push and push and push because they don't expect you to. You know, you're not gonna hit me, so I'm just gonna keep agging on because I'm a girl, you know, and that definitely does happen.
Mom wouldn't want to try a parent. It's more nuanced, right? I mean, you need a more developed take on that, because it's very traumatic for the kids and the family to put their father through a violence case, and especially when the kids are probably going to have to ask to testify, to talk to the police. I mean, I totally understand why a mother or father wouldn't want to put their family through that, don't you?
I mean, I can understand it. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. And I mean, according to
yeah, I guess, but man, if the law says, hey, you're only gonna get out of this thing if you have evidence, then that's what you got to do, man. And like, just making it that easy because of the numbers, right? 25%. That 25% should have to at least press charges. Maybe not say it like, okay. Maybe not say like, okay, you have to win your case, but you should have to at least press formal charges and there be an investigation. All right, you shouldn't be able to just go to the judge and say, he hit me. You got no bruises. This was 6 years ago. And yeah, split up.
national statistics on
especially, sorry, if that split up is going to result in, say, a wealthier guy losing a lot of his livelihood, or vice versa, a wealthier woman losing a lot of their livelihood.
domestic violence. Okay, there's 10 million men and women each year that are the victim of physical abuse.
Mm-hmm.
But in your world, I have a feeling that a lot of these people would be trapped in these marriages,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay.
I said in one-sided abuse they could leave. Yes.
Okay.
So no.
Okay. Do
But
you?
yeah, I do think in order to get custody of your kids, if you're going to accuse the other side of abuse, you should have to prove it.
Do you think
That's
what
fair.
do you think is more harmful to kids, divorce or physical abuse?
Physical
Yeah, physical abuse. What kind of question is this?
abuse.
Okay, you passed that one.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to think about it for a second. But anyway, let's move on from this.
No, I just thought it was kind of a silly question.
It
that's
really
all.
is.
But
Okay, that's refreshing.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that last question was silly as hell. Like, if she would have said divorce, I would have said she really, really ate it. This was bad though. This was bad for Pearl. She, again, like I said, I don't 100% agree with either one of these people. There's some points that she makes that are kind of like common sense. There's some points that he makes that are kind of like common sense. But then you can see when both of them like lean into their own grifty style, extremist style beliefs, right? So Pearl being a conservative, you can see when she leans way too hard to the right, and Ethan, you can see when he leans way too hard to the left and is doing his like, virtue signaling, woke politics type stuff. And I think more people fall in the middle, man. Like, I think neither one of their views is representative of the vast majority of people, but it's entertaining, right? I think she definitely lost this debate as far as I can see from that clip. Maybe I'll catch another clip and we'll do a review of that. But so far, so good. That's been another video. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that button. Subscribe, and why not check out this video, because I'm sure you're gonna love that one too. Anyway, one love, peace.